Hi, this is Dea from Lit Dead here. Before we begin, I'd just like to apologise for a minor audio issue that happens in the middle of the episode for a few minutes. Obviously, we do try to keep things as consistent as possible, but we're human, we make mistakes, and we hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks.
I'm Dea. No.
You're not Dea, I'm Dea.
Come on then, tell them who you are.
I'm Reese.
I'm Dea, and we are
Literally dead.
This week we covered The Faculty, a 1998 horror film. Of the genre sci-fi.
It's the first sci-fi horror we've done. We kind of stick a little bit more to fantasy usually, but we did a sci-fi today.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And it was good.
It was pretty good. I thought it was fun.
Spoiler-free synopsis.
Oh my god, we're going into it quick today, aren't we? Not letting nothing go past. No time wasting. When strange things start happening in a school, students realise that their teachers have been possessed by aliens. Very body snatchers, which they reference multiple times in the film.
Many times.
So many times. Very, cheesy, I guess.
Yeah. All right, spoilers from here on.
Oh my god.
Everybody dies.
Everybody.
No, nobody dies. The Faculty. I felt like I was going to read a book then.
Like,
The Faculty.
The Faculty by...
Day 300. I've been here since... No. God. How do we usually do this?
Is this also the first horror movie we've covered that takes place in a school? Like, all of it? Well, most of it. I guess the Boogeyman has school scenes in it.
It did. But I guess this is the proper full-on school horror?
Yeah.
I don't know. At this point, who cares? This is the current episode. Watch it. Listen to it. Do what you want.
Slay.
Just don't do it in front of me.
Just keep it in the privacy of your own home.
And we're happy with it, you know? Whatever you use this podcast for, I'm happy for you.
I'm not.
No.
No.
You mad?
Yeah.
The Faculty. 1998. Okay. So,
Oh my god.
film opens with...
A football practice.
Yes, American football.
Oh my god, they're so intense in this. The coach is like, God damn!
Oh, you stupid little bitch. Why aren't you better at this sport? I believe in you.
He says God damn 5 times in this. I counted because I was like, this seems like a lot.
Damn. I'm sorry.
God damn.
No, but yeah, he's being incredibly aggressive. He opens up a school sports.
Very macho guy.
Who likes school sports? Not me. Ew.
I despise school sports.
But nobody does, right? No, nobody likes him.
No, there were people who used to like school sports, but they did not like me.
Terrifying. They did not like me.
No, they were playing football. I was walking behind them. I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
Also, I don't like the idea that people who play like sports are like attractive. No.
No, I was never really attracted to sports people.
No.
No.
Well, anyway, The Faculty, 19... No. So we open on this football scene, and he's coaching them, he's swearing at them, he's being really mean. The students leave the field to go back to school, or it's the end of the day, whatever it is. And the coach just goes crazy.
Yeah, he walks and he sees the sprinkler and he literally shoves his hand on top of the sprinkler. He's like, no.
Yeah, well, he starts kicking it. He's kicking the sprinkler like it fucking slapped his mama. And then he just puts his hand down because he's like a real alpha.
Yeah, he's like,
so
I'm just going to shove the sprinkler under the ground.
No sprinkler's going to sprinkle on my watch.
On my football field that needs to be watered so that my students can play safely.
No, but he's an alpha, so he said, you sprinkle when I want you to.
And then a shadow passes over his face.
As he's knelt down, stopping the sprinkler with one hand, may I add.
The shadow passes over his face while he's kneeling like an alpha.
Like a real alpha. And he turns up like a real alpha and he says, this better be important.
And he goes, well, what is it? And then cuts.
Dun, 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 dun. Cut to later on in the evening. It's dark now. And
it's dark.
A few members of staff are in the principal's office talking about budget cuts. And we find out that they have cut the budget for the motherfucking school play.
No computers, no field trip, no drama. It's austerity, babes.
But
the only people getting money is the military and rich. Or in this instance, the football team. This is Tory Britain.
The drama teacher does bring it up. She's like, oh, but... Well, no, actually, it's the male drama musical teacher, isn't it? He goes, oh, but I bet the football team is still going to get new varsity jackets and kneecaps. And the principal's like, yeah. She says, this is a football country.
The whole town is there.
She's like, look at the stadiums on the weekends, right? Look at the auditorium during the musical. Ain't nobody watching you.
He says, you play shit. Art isn't a real job.
Yeah. She does list off all the new stuff they'll get, though. And she does list off jock straps. And I think that's kind of nice that she, like...
No, she doesn't.
She does.
She lists off jock straps.
Yeah, she says they'll get new jackets. They'll get new boots. They'll get new jocks. They'll get new bubble whatever.
Oh, they're getting new jocks too, damn.
Oh, new jock straps, sorry. Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait, jock strap's the right word.
That's the underpants, right?
Yeah. Or did she say jock, the cups, maybe?
I don't know.
What am I talking about? I'll say what I want to say. The film happened how I want it to happen. She said jock straps. That's what happened. Don't watch the film. Don't watch it. Just take my word for it. That's what she said. Because
just
that's more interesting.
Just watch this podcast twice. And then...
Yeah. We'll release a corrected version of one. So anyway, everyone gets upset. They all leave the school. The teachers, the principal. But then as the principal leaves the front door, she realizes...
she forgot her keys.
She forgot her keys. So she goes back in. It's a very cool scene. The school's all dark. All the lights are off. It's nighttime. She doesn't bother turning any of them on, obviously. She's just going to her office. And as she gets to her office, it's very eerie. She starts looking for her keys in the dark and she hears a sound. Yeah,
she goes jump scared by a sound. And then the coach is just there. He's come out of nowhere. And he goes, "You're very pretty."
And, you know, she, being a woman...
she's like...
well,
this man is going to harass me.
And she's not wrong. She's like, okay, are you drunk?
Like, you need to go home. And he's like, I need a pencil. And she's like, you need to go home and get some sleep. And he's like, you're very pretty. And she's like, harassment is a very thin line. You don't want to cross it.
Yeah. He says, I need a pencil. And
so she goes, fine, I have pencils. She gives him pencils. And then he's like, I always wanted to do this. And then he shoves a pencil through her hand.
Right through. Stabs
literally, like, goes up, like, through there.
And the tip of the pencil didn't break. So I want to know, what was the brand of that pencil? To go through a human hand and not snap the tip.
That's crazy.
Sometimes I sharpen my pencil too much and the tip comes off.
Anyway.
So the hand goes through the pencil.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then she runs down the hallway. She's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Right? And suddenly, the doors are locked with a big ass chain, which was not there when she got in. She didn't lock the doors behind her.
No. Because she didn't have her keys. But the coach has obviously, I guess, done this.
Yeah. And then the drama teacher's on the other side. She seems like a very nice older lady.
Yeah, she's outside because the principal left her there. Yeah. And she's like, help me. And she's like, the chain, bitch, the chain.
She's like, I don't have my keys with me. Where's your keys? And she went in the office. And
but it's done very good. She turns around slowly and she's like, in my office. And you're like, dun, dun, dun. Because the coach is obviously in there. And mind you, the coach goes onto the little intercom system and says a very creepy line. Oh, yeah. He's so cunty when he says he's like, calling to the principal's office. It echoes throughout the school. It's very good. Very good. So she has to start the trench back to her office because it's the only way she's getting out of here. Yeah. And she's a bad bitch. She was brave. Well, the drama teacher offers to get help and she's like, no, just stay here with me. Yeah, because she was scared. Yeah. And she also knew she wouldn't be able to get help in time. Yeah. So she goes back to the office. She's able to get the keys. Yes. I mean, there's a lot of eerie creepiness, but she gets the keys. She's running down the hallway, and then the drama teacher's on the other side of the door, like looking out, and she goes, hurry, he's coming. And she looks outside of the room, and she looks to the right. Yeah. And she sees the coach standing at the end of the hallway, lit very creepily with the shadow, and looks to the left, and there's the front door with the big chain that she's now got the key to unlock. Yeah. and she just runs for it.
She runs for
like
it.
a bad bitch, but she runs for it.
Yeah. And she drops the keys. She picks them
Of
up.
course she does.
She fumbles. She does the key.
He's about to get to her, and all of a sudden she goes lightning speed.
Yeah.
Unlocks the chain, jumps out the other side, closes the door, chains it
back
on the outside.
She's like a
all
ninja.
this in one swift move, but she's trying to chain it up, and he's gotten to the door, and he's
Yeah.
like banging against it, banging against it, and she drops the scissors that she had picked up to defend herself.
Yeah.
And the coach goes to reach her through the door, and she very quickly kicks that shit away. She killed it. You want to survive a horror film? That is how you
She
do it.
would be the one, except not this horror film, because the drama teacher picks up the scissors and she's like, I've always wanted to do this, and she stabs that bitch.
The drama teacher was also evil.
She was also evil. And we don't know why yet.
I mean, we know.
Well, if you saw the spoiler-free synopsis, you would know, but, you know. Who watches that shit?
I'm pretty sure they saw it. We all know.
We all know why they're evil.
Because they've been possessed by aliens.
Oh my god.
Dun, 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 dun. Body snatch.
What kind of alien would you be? Would you be like one of those like Martians in their saucers, or would you be like a little parasite that goes into people's brains?
I don't want to be one of them pretty ones. Like, I want to be like an ethereal being.
Like the blue lady who sings in that one movie.
Yes. In
Fifth Element. I liked Fifth Element.
It was good. That's a very camp film.
I know, right? I haven't seen the film in so long. We should watch that. Not on this podcast, but
also, mind you, sis of self-defense, when she was getting beat up by the coach, she proper fucking cat scratched him with her keys.
She did. She
like
that. Marked his face. And
the fact that she already had him between her knuckles, you know that bitch has been through shit.
Yeah.
She was a fighter. Well,
you know, she's known to be a little... Like, all the teachers hate her. They probably attacked her in the past.
she feels safe anyway.
She's like...
because she keeps cutting all these budgets.
Yeah, giving them all to the jock straps.
She's fighting for her life. So the next day starts up. It's daytime. It's the beginning of school. Now we get introduced to our main group of kids. And it's done in a really fun, montagey way where we see them crossing each other's paths.
Yeah, interacting with each other.
You know, with those very messy few minutes before school starts when everyone is coming into school, getting out of school buses, parents' cars, taxis.
This one kid has a really nice car, and I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck does a teenager get a car like that? It was like black and had like red stripes on it.
The drug dealer.
Yeah. I know, because he sells
how
drugs.
He gets the money.
Well, we didn't know that at that point. We didn't know at that point.
We know about 30 seconds later, though.
Yeah, we do. And we're like, oh, okay.
So we introduce our main group.
I have them
not
listed.
necessarily in this order, but we will just list.
Do you want to give them your archetypes and I'll give them mine?
Okay, so first of all, we have Stan, who is our jock.
Oh, what did I write for Stan? Butch Gay.
Also known as Jock. Then we have Casey, who is our geek.
I put Hobbit because he's played by Elijah Wood.
He is played by... There's a lot of fucking surprise appearances. We'll talk about when we get to them.
Oh my god, yeah.
And then we have... Was it Stockley?
It was Stokely.
Stokely, that's it.
But I wrote Stocky at the beginning because you read her name to me.
Because it was written in a very interesting but very difficult to read font, which was like scratch font.
Yeah. But what is up with all these Americans giving their daughters like last names as first names? We had like Sawyer in The Boogeyman and now we have Stokely. Like, what the fuck?
It's cute. Stokely is the goth.
Stoke-on-Trent is the goth.
Although, what do you call her?
Oh, I called her... Just put lesbian.
She's the main one.
To be fair, there's a reason I did that, but, you know, you'll come to it later.
Then we have Delilah, who is like the preppy girl. She's the prep.
Originally, I wrote closet lesbian, but then after a while, I changed it to bitch.
Oh, we'll see why soon. And then we have Zeke with the very nice car, who is the drug dealer. So he's the, the druggie.
I wrote pedophile.
That big jump. Okay. Because what? Speak. Why? I watched the film too, and I'm confused.
Because he looked like one.
Okay.
Because he was selling like drugs and contraband to teenagers, and then it turned out he had been like held back.
So he was a year older than them.
Yeah.
So he's a pedophile because he sells them drugs.
Yeah, and I just remember like all of the like anyone who was like a year older, we would call them a pedophile if they dated anyone a year younger in secondary school.
Then there is our final member, who is the new girl at school, Mary Beth. And she's the sort of girl next door, southern girl.
I wrote Christian, but also lesbian. But I don't think she is one anymore after seeing the rest of the film. So I just put Christian. She definitely watches Girl Defined. I did like the name cards though. I thought they were fun. I thought it was kind of like very campy and fun, and it worked really well for the opening.
Yeah.
More movies should do that, because I always forget who everyone is.
It's true. Also, as you probably heard from our archetypes, or at least mine, this is a very typical group of kids. You know, this is your classic, you know, your jock, your popular prep. The drug one.
The lesbian.
The Christian next door, you know, the girl next door, virgin, the nerd, etc. Right?
Yeah.
You've seen this group before, but it's also comforting. You know, I love when I watch a horror film and I already know all the characters. You know what I mean?
You already know what order they're gonna die. And then we cut to the teachers' lounge, and we see how the teachers interact with each other.
Yeah, and they've changed a little.
Yeah.
The drama teacher, who before was a timid lady with big
frumpy.
glasses.
Yeah.
Now she has gotten rid of her glasses and
she's wearing
her
makeup.
hair is done, and she's wearing makeup and she's dressing nicer.
Yeah. The coach says, "You're very pretty today."
She says, "Yeah."
No, she goes, "Thank you, coach."
Yeah, they're not acting normal. They're acting very strange.
Very robotic.
This is also when you find out that fucking
Salma Hayek's in this movie.
Is the nurse.
For like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
She's the nurse. She's ill. And she's like got a cold.
Yeah, she's not doing too well.
The history teacher has hidden like a flask of alcohol in the room and like puts it in his coffee.
Which, same. I get that. I would
If
too.
I had to work with kids, yeah.
Oh my God.
I'd need about 2. And they all hate the principal. They were all chatting shit about the principal.
Mm-hmm.
Especially about the budget cuts and other things.
Yeah, nobody likes that bitch.
I wouldn't either. Although, to be fair, the person who plays the principal, she is so pretty.
She really is. And then we see, obviously we start to get to know our characters, and we see the new girl, Mary Beth, introducing herself to our goth girl.
She wants to make friends with her.
Yeah, she's being very sweet, but then the preppy bitch, fucking Delilah. Delilah jumps in, and she's like, "Oh, what you doing, lesbian?"
She cop blocks the lesbian. And then the lesbian calls her a gutter slut.
Which is so good. But Mary Beth is so sweet and is so open-minded. She says, "Oh, I didn't know you were a lesbian. That's cool." Yeah. Oh, no, what'd she say? She said such a funny line.
No,
I loved it so much.
That's not this bit. You've skipped ahead.
Okay, can I say the funny line? Because it does happen here.
Yeah, but I want to say the funny line.
No, I'm saying the funny line.
What's the funny line?
Delilah asks Mary Beth if she's a lesbian too, because she's talking to a lesbian. And Mary Beth goes, "I don't think we have lesbianism in my family lineage."
Oh, that line!
Which,
I thought you were talking about the
I
other
think
line.
about it, that was said as a very deliberate, like a very earnest, like very honest comment.
Yeah, the bitch cock blocks the lesbians, and then we cut to class, and we find out that Zeke is the name of the criminal.
A drugger.
Yeah.
A drugger.
Drug dealer, and he's a fucking know-it-all, which begs the question: if you're so like knowledgeable about everything, why the fuck have you repeated your final year?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could be out there in the world selling drugs instead of at school selling drugs.
Which he sells the drugs in these pens.
Yeah.
Too. Like, he puts like whatever this like Coke, whatever it is.
Fucking shisha penna.
In a like a biro, like a blue biro that he like takes the like ink out of. And he just fills the plastic with drug and then screws the cap back on, which is actually quite smart.
It's smart, but it's like anyone can see that it's full of fucking powder.
No, of course, but then it's just easy and convenient to just like carry.
Yeah.
Also, it's very easy and convenient to do because they would just stick that pen up at their nose and.
Yeah.
Which that holds quite a lot.
You're like in maths and you see the guy next to you stick a pen up his nose and you're like, what the fuck, man?
So anyway, we're meeting all these characters. We see that the jock is currently dating the prep.
Yes. The jock is dating the bitch Delilah, and she is the head of the school newspaper, and Casey, who's the nerd, works at the school newspaper with her.
He's got a nerdy little crush on her.
Yeah.
But obviously, she's too hot for him.
Yeah. Stokely is a bit of a loner, and she doesn't like talking to other people. And in class, it's revealed that she's not actually a lesbian.
No, she just says that to, keep people out.
And that's where I kind of, like, fell off of this movie. Because I'm just like, why can't they just be lesbian? Like, why does it have to be, like, an excuse all the time?
It's so dead.
And she says, I'm not a lesbian. This is all armor, right? To keep people away from me. And then Mary Beth says, be one. Fly, let your wings fly free.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Do you not remember that? That was the funny line I thought you were going to say earlier.
No, I think there's no lesbian in my lineage is funnier.
Oh, okay. I think the funniest thing is I'm not a lesbian. Be one.
We also find out that our jock Stan has decided to leave the football team.
Yeah.
Which his girlfriend Delilah is not happy about because she says the most popular girl in school has to date, the jock. Quarterback.
He's trying to better himself, and all she says is, "You're good at football. Do football."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Fuck's sake!"
Well, she wasn't wrong though. He's stupid. Like
but
his grades were terrible, and he was like, "But I want to be known for my intellect." And it's like, "But you don't have that. Like, I don't understand why you can't just be intellectual and play sports."
I guess so, but it's explained a bit better later in the film, I think.
A little bit. So yeah, those are sort of the characters. And then we see our nerdy guy.
Yeah, he's eating lunch alone on the football field.
Drinking his little juice box.
Yeah. And he finds something in the grass.
It almost looks like a bug, but it seems kind of dead.
Yeah. But he doesn't know what it is, and so he picks it up, and then he's confronted by the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you're not really enthusiastic about sports, Casey. And he's like, I don't really think you should be running unless something's chasing you. And he went, I like that. Now get out of here. And then Casey just fucking sprints away.
It was the worst run I had ever seen in my life. It was, the only way I can describe it is if you ever seen someone run with an open beer and a cigarette in the other hand. That hobble of not wanting to spill or break anything. That is how he ran. It was ridiculous.
Maybe he had a beer and a cigarette. You don't know him.
No, he had a juice box and a bug. And a dream.
Not a dream. And he brings it to the science teacher. And the science teacher's like, I have no idea what the hell that is.
Yeah, he thinks it's a new species.
So he puts it in water, which I don't think really goes with the scientific method.
Yeah, which, by the way, this is when we first find out that our drug dealer is actually really fucking smart. Because the science teacher says, this is a blah, 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 some fancy word. And everyone in class is like, what is that? And then the drug dealer's like, it means it's a sea creature.
It's the second time we find out he's smart, because he also does it in the other lesson.
What did you want to talk about? You want to talk about a scene where they're in class and we meet the timid teacher? Yeah.
Because there's some fucking weird tension there, okay? And I don't know, and I don't like it.
It does make me uncomfortable. It is never made explicit. And I don't think it's necessarily hinted at, but it does almost feel like they may have had a relations.
Yeah. Especially...
the drug dealer who was held a year back and his, the
teacher English who's teacher. Most, invested in his studies.
Ooh.
Let's just say.
I keep hitting my microphone. I hope it's not messing up the audio. Sorry, everybody at home.
Sorry, future me.
Sorry, future Dea. What were we saying? Oh, yeah. So they put this fucking insect thing into the water in the fish tank, and it suddenly rehydrates, and it comes to life. It's swimming around, and it's this weird flesh-colored little fish that almost looks like it's crossed with a grasshopper. It's really creepy. The creature is in the damn fish tub, the fish tank.
Yeah. And it splits in two.
Yes. We find out that it can replicate itself. And the teacher's like, what the hell? He puts on a glove. He's feeling around in it. It replicates itself.
Yeah.
And then while he's, being shocked and fascinated that this creature has just replicated itself.
It bites his finger.
He pulls it out and they were like, it has teeth. And then our geek goes, where did it get teeth?
I don't know, bitch. Where did you get teeth?
So, the science teacher's like, I have to call the university because I've never seen nothing like this before.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then there's a shot of all of the students looking at this fish tank, right? And Reese is sitting next to me and he goes, is that Usher?
Oh my God, I forgot about this. Oh, this is such a messy episode. Usher? You know what? Who cares? Usher. Motherfucking Usher comes out of nowhere. He's like fucking 18. He's like he's a baby.
He's literally baby Usher.
And he just comes out of nowhere. He's like one of the head jocks.
Yeah.
And he replaces our jock Stan
Yeah.
as head quarterback when Stan leaves.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is Usher in a horror film. Usher.
What? And then we started looking into it, and this is such a star-studded movie. Of course, you have like Salma Hayek, you have Elijah Wood, you have Usher, you have, I swear there's a few other people in there.
There are.
It's
the
like
actress who plays the English teacher with a really weird
relationship
with Zeke, our drug dealer.
Yeah.
Is I can't remember her name, but she's in like the X-Men and stuff. She plays the Phoenix and when she's older in the X-Men.
And the guy Zeke, he is the dad in the M. Night Shyamalan movie Trap.
Yeah, our drug dealer is now starring in Trap in theaters now. No, it's probably not in theaters anymore.
Probably not. And then this is when I said, oh, he's really good at playing criminals.
I will say I heard a lot of complaints about his performance in Trap.
I haven't seen Trap yet.
But what I will say is the performance in this was really good.
Okay.
I thought his performance in The Faculty was really good. This is why we have to write the name of the movie behind us, 'cause I keep forgetting it.
This is why we keep notes, people.
His performance was great in this. It was really good.
Pretty good, yeah. And then Stan quits the football team. And the coach takes it really well. For someone who said goddamn 6 times in the first 5 minutes of this movie, he was really quite nice about it. He was like, sure, my star quarterback is quitting on me the day before a really big game against the only team in the county that could kick our ass, but you seem to be going through something really important, and I wouldn't be human if I didn't, if I stopped you from doing that.
Really nice. But remember, our coach is not very normal at the moment.
Not normal.
No, he stabbed the pencil through the fucking principal's hand.
Crazy.
He's acting real weird. And now he's like, I wouldn't be human if I didn't let you deal with that. Then goes to the locker room.
Yeah.
To get,
to have a shower.
To have a shower. He bumps into Casey, our geek, being bullied by Usher. He is.
The Hobbit was bullied. No, Frodo was bullied by Usher.
If you want to see Frodo get bullied by Usher, watch this.
Watch The Faculty.
So then, Stan jumps in. He's like, "Yo, leave him alone." And then he goes to shower, but naked. No, he goes in the shower with his bar of soap on a string.
Yeah. Also, you said, are they gay? Because they had this there's this 2 shots of them looking at each other, and there's a lot of weird tension in this movie. There are points where the camera just lingers slightly too long on shots that should take less than a second.
Yeah. How every teenage gay romance has the nerdy one or the artsy one, and then the jock, because there always needs to be a white jock in it, and how that jock usually protects the nerdy or geeky one,
or bullies them, or both.
Or both, and then they have those weird looks at each other in the locker room in every single one of those films and shows.
Yeah.
It was that.
And then so he's showering in this thing, and then this random teacher, she runs into the locker room, she's pulling her clothes off, and she's like, they want all of us. They want all of us.
She's got holes in her face. Her skin is decaying.
And he's like, oh my God, Miss, what's her face?
Really sweet though. Stan holds her clothes and he's like, it's okay. And because
well, he holds her arms he doesn't hold her clothes.
Well, he holds her, right? And he's butt naked, remember this.
Yeah.
But he can see that she's not well. She's very elderly.
Yeah.
And then our geek kind of runs in what the fuck's happening in the shower?
And he says, go get help.
I think he was just trying to look at the jock.
He's like, oh, finally. You know what?
An excuse.
You know what I imagine? The teacher who's decaying runs past Casey in the locker room, and Casey just kind of is like, oh yeah, go that way.
He's like, oh, in there.
In there.
Yeah, he jumps in and he's like, oh my God. And then the jock is like, Casey, go quick, go get help. Yeah. And as he does that, the jock turns back to the teacher.
Her scalp falls off.
Her scalp slides, the hair, and the flesh
and
underneath
the skin,
it,
and you see her brain
slides off her fucking head onto the ground. Oh.
Crazy. There's some good gore effects in this, when they do them practically.
Yeah. Cut to the next scene. They're in the principal's office talking with
the drama teacher.
And she lets them know that teacher.
Oh, she has cancer. She's gone meds and she's not doing so good.
We hoped we could hide it, but we didn't mean for this to happen. And then she makes them promise to sort of keep it a secret.
Yeah. She's like, do you understand? Do you understand?
Yeah.
And Casey's looking out the window and she's like, Casey, do you understand? And he's traumatized.
Oh, yeah. He was taking a picture out the window. He wasn't traumatized. He was busy.
Oh, okay. Sorry. What was he taking a picture of?
I don't know. I actually think it was important. But we don't remember, so you don't get the information, guys.
Sorry.
Hey.
Sorry.
Maybe you should just watch the film.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Yeah.
After you watch this podcast twice.
Obviously. Do that.
Oh, yeah. And here is when so the drug dealer's at his car. And the teacher comes up to him and she's like, we've had complaints of students like selling contraband. And the English teacher, she's very timid. She's got glasses. She's pretty, but she's like very like.
It's very given like before she gets transformed to become prom queen. You know, the glasses. She might as well have braces on. She doesn't, but she might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, here's some chocolate flavoured laxatives for you. Because you seem to be stuck up. And she's just like, you need to stop this.
So then he offers her like strawberry flavoured.
Cherry flavoured condoms. Magnum size. And this is when you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
And she's like, that's so rude.
Yeah. And he's just like lay off me, please.
To be fair, I think she's just a concerned teacher because she says that he's really smart and he's been held back a year. So obviously it's weird. And also he has a really bad home life and she's very aware of this.
Yeah.
And
although when we find out how bad his home life is, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he's just like, his parents aren't there, but his parents are wealthy and his house is big. Anyway, let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
And then we cut to
the bitch and the nerd.
The bitch and the nerd. Oh my god, that's so pretty.
The bitch.
I want to watch that film.
They're both lesbians.
Oh.
Or gay.
Lesbians. No, but our prep, Delilah, and our nerd, our geek, Casey, break into the teacher's lounge together because she wants to look for a
story. She wants to look for a scoop. And apparently by discovering a new species in your football field is not a big enough of a scoop for her. She's
literally like, oh, I want something to put in a newspaper, something like really risque, something really big. And he's like, we discovered a new species. And she's like, meh.
Who gives a shit?
She wanted to find out that the teacher was like doing drugs.
They're like, we found the missing link. And she's just like, I'm Christian. I don't give a fuck about evolution.
Yeah, she's like, man. No, she wants gossip. She doesn't want anything.
She doesn't want actual news.
So they go in, they're searching for stuff.
And then he
calls her a bitch.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm so glad he did, but he calls her a bitch. And she's like, are you playing with me?
And he's just like, no, I just think you're really cool at times, but not at this time. Yeah. And they're pulling out like, oh, and she's like, oh, I exposed his teacher's alcoholism last year. No one gives a fuck. Oh, the nurse is on pills. And it's like, okay.
It was like epilepsy medication.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then as they're like searching around, they hear footsteps and they realize teacher's about to come in the lounge. So they look around and quickly dash into the closet, close that shit, and they're like...
Yeah. And it's the coach, the drama teacher, and they're chatting a while, and they're like, how many of the faculty have been commuted? Oh, most of them. And the students? Very soon.
And you'll realize what's happening. Okay, they're body snatching. They're snatched. Most of the faculty has been snatched. You think, oh my God, a lot of teachers have been changed.
Snatched.
And they're going to go for the students soon. We're scared, right?
Yeah. And then the nurse walks in, and she's like...
Samayuk.
She's so pretty in this.
She really is.
And she's like, oh, you guys are still here? Like, I thought I was the only one left. She's, like, got a cold, poor thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, like, looking at each other. And they dash her into the cupboard or the wall.
Yeah, like, push her against the wall.
She gets up, and she's like, what the fuck? And then they do it again. and then
they push her down on, like, a bench in the corner.
Yeah.
And he starts to body snatch her, which... What that looks like in this case is he tongues her ear.
Yeah.
Like sticks his tongue, and it's this weird purpley tongue.
Yeah.
Almost like a tentacle into her ear. Instantly blood is like spewing out.
Yeah.
It's horrid. It's absolutely horrid to watch. And they're watching this in the cupboard.
Yeah.
The students are watching this like, oh my God, what do we do?
And then they back up, and there's like a second cupboard in the cupboard.
Well, no, it's like a rack with some like coats on
it.
And as she bumps into it, our bitch, Delilah, the dead body of the teacher with the melting scalp falls forward on top of her, and she freaks out.
Yeah.
And obviously...
Then Frodo is there, like, trying to hold her, like, don't fucking scream.
Yeah, don't make noise. Like, don't let them know we're here.
But the body, like, falling sound alerts them, and they the teachers open the cupboard, and they just push past them. They both run.
The geek has a broom, and he sticks it into the coach's stomach, pushes him back, and then the drama teacher goes for him, and he whacks that bitch. They go tumbling over the fucking table. They run out of the faculty lounge.
And they tell the principal.
And the principal's standing there, and they're like, oh my God, principal, please, like, we need help. Like, they're doing crazy stuff in there, blah, blah, blah. And the principal's like, what do you mean? Like,
She literally just keeps repeating, what do you mean? Like, in different ways the whole time.
And they turn around and they see now the coach
and the drama teacher. The drama teacher and the coach. And they're like, they attack them. And then they're like, how did this happen? What do you mean? And then the alcoholic history teacher's there for some reason. He's like, what do you mean? How did they attack her? And they keep like fucking going around in circles. And then the nurse walks out and she's just like standing still.
Really weird. And they realize, oh shit, like,
she's been fucking turned. And
so they just bolt for him.
They just run.
Which Delilah was much faster.
Yeah. And little Frodo, he does this slide. He does this like...
slips.
I just write nerd slide at one point because he just kind of slides and it almost looks like intentional. And
but it's not.
He's like fallen over and he's like, Delilah, wait. And she just...
he like reaches his hand out because he's fallen onto the ground. And he's like, Delilah,
and she's already
wait.
gone.
And it cuts to her. And I swear she's gone, and she walks through like the door, and you just see her just leaving
like into the woods. Like she doesn't even stay on school. And then he gets up and also runs, but he comes back. Delilah doesn't. She fucking dips.
Oh.
And he comes back with the police.
It was my favorite scene. At least she left the door open for him.
Yeah,
that's the least she could have done. But she didn't even. He's Delilah. Wait, she was gone. Honestly, me. I feel like
it would have taken them both longer if she helped him get up. Like he could get up really quickly, and he did.
Also, why does he need her to wait?
Yeah.
You can get yourself up. Is it like a we die together thing? Because no, you die alone.
I would make you die with me. I hope you know that. I'd drag you down to the pits of hell.
I'd already be through that door. I'd be Delilah. I'd be gone.
I wouldn't slip.
You'd turn around to be like, to grab me. I'd be gone. I'd leave the door open for you though.
Oh, thanks. I'd get body snatched and I'd know exactly where I'm going. Listen, if I'm going to be part of an alien cult, I want my bestie to be there. Like, I'm not doing this alone. Like, with all these people.
Yeah, but then it's like, I don't
Who am I supposed to bitch about people with? In the alien cult?
I guess so.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be us. We'd be taken over by parasites. So whoever you'd be taken over with wouldn't even, like, care for me.
Oh, yeah. That's really sad.
Unless we can get two parasites that were, like, really good friends. Like
like
best friends.
bestie parasites.
And then we got... body snatch. Nerd comes back to the school
with the
after
police.
A short time skip with his parents and the police.
Yeah.
And they come in and the principal's acting like, I don't know what's going on. They investigate. So he's like, in the lounge, there was a dead body in there. There's a dead body in the cupboard. And he did something really weird to the nurse. And the principal's like, okay, let's check the cupboard then. You know, let's see. She opens it. The police
because they obviously moved the fucking body.
Yeah, they obviously moved the body. And what they've put in place of the body is...
the CPR doll.
The CPR doll, who had a name.
I think it was Annie.
Yes, it was Resuscitation Annie.
Resuscitation
Annie in a cupboard. And the principal's so shady. She's like, I guess that kind of does look like her. As in the teacher who was dead. And I was like, you bitch.
Of course she's going to move it. That's like the most predictable fucking thing ever.
And you think, why would the police not be like, oh, well, if genuinely there was a murder here, why would they leave the body here?
Yeah.
Let me guess, let's maybe do some DNA testing, whatever.
Yeah. But we get a few lingering shots that imply that the police officer is an alien as well.
Yeah, and then
because
Casey says it. He says they got to him.
Yeah, because at one point she's like, "Oh, why don't we just use the phone to call the nurse then?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, okay." So then the police officer and the principal go off alone to this room to call the nurse and the other people. And so it's like, obviously he got turned in that room.
Yeah, and he comes back acting very different.
And then they try and talk to his parents alone. And he's like, no, because his parents are trying to convince him he's crazy. They're like, we'll find a doctor for you. Let's just go home. And then the principal's like, oh, why don't you talk to me alone for a minute? And then Frodo, he's like, oh, wait. I am actually crazy, guys.
Because otherwise...
put me away.
They would take his parents' body. They would snatch his parents' bodies if they got along with them. So he's like, I'm crazy. Let's go home, please. I'll see that therapist, please.
Yeah.
So they take him home. And then his parents start... This is the first time we met them. And they're crazy. They're tearing apart his room looking for drugs because they're like, please be on drugs.
This was 90s, so they were obsessed with drugs back in the 90s.
They blame themselves, you know. They don't want to have raised him wrong. They're like, please just be on drugs. Please just tell me it's drugs. And he's like, I'm not drugged up. Like, let's call Delilah. Remember the one that bought without door? Turns out She ran out that school and never stopped running.
She didn't come home.
She didn't come home. She just kept running.
She's still running now.
To this day. So no one could get a hold of her. And so they're like, okay, you know what? You're in punishment now. So they take away his phone, his games,
his music,
his porn.
Oh my god! No,
his dad's like, you're not yanking the bishop anymore. He's like, you're not allowed to masturbate.
Do you know what's funnier is that he was like, what else can we take away? And the mum just goes, porno.
And they knew exactly where it was too.
Under his mattress, like the most fucking obvious place. and then I was like, well, if he can't do anything, right? Like, that's not very conducive to recovering from your mental health. Like, what's he gonna fucking do? Like, live with his hallucinations?
Yeah, like, what? Like, if they think that he's unwell mentally, what's taking his phone away gonna do? Why are they punishing him?
Why are they stopping him from wanking?
They're like, if we punish the bad mental health, then he'll act good health.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't give a shit about him.
No, he does this thing. He turns on a robot, which never comes back again. Like, does that ever come into play again? Was it like a computer thing that he does?
Oh yeah, so he goes. So his parents leave his room after taking away his whole life. He runs to his computer because they didn't take his computer, and he just goes do 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 boop boop, and this little robot he's built on the desk starts walking, and you're like, why did he do that? We don't know.
Never comes up again.
He climbs out. It probably was a reason we just missed it because we're stupid. But he climbs out the window like he's gonna like run away, and then he notices as he gets out the window. It's one of them, you know, like classic American houses where like
there's you can literally crawl out the window because they're like
there's like a second
slope.
roof.
Yeah.
And he climbs out and he sees the shadowy figures of the faculty.
They're like out there waiting for him.
The drama teacher, and the coach. And he's like, and he gets shook and he slips and he rolls off the roof. Boom, 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 into the bush.
Do you know what that scene kind of reminded me of the silhouettes? It kind of reminded me of like the scene in Us with the family standing outside.
Oh yeah, that was very similar.
Yeah.
I wonder if this inspired that.
Maybe. I mean, to be fair, I think it also happens in The Strangers at one point. But I don't like The Strangers.
It does happen in The Strangers, you're right.
Yeah. The original, not the new one.
But yeah, so he's in the bush and he sees shadowy figures attacking him. We're not sure if it's real or not. And then a hand reaches up and pulls him up. It's his father.
Yeah.
And he's like, get inside.
Get the fuck back in the house. But he's also a famous actor.
The teachers are here. And you turn and they're not there. And he's like, damn, I really am losing my mind. It must be all that porn. I'm glad they took it away. And my phone, like, oh, it really was making me crazy.
My brick phone, all those times I played Snake just made me crazy. Okay, is back to school. His dad drops him off and he's like, I don't want to go in. And he's like, you have to fucking go in. And then...
Which, by the way, if you have that much of a traumatic experience, again, why are they forcing him to go to school?
Like, if he's
like, even
that
if he
crazy,
is crazy, like...
Wouldn't you put him in a hospital?
No, let him have a day off, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, like, you know, he's acting crazy. Like, we don't think he's well. Like, you're going to force him to go back to school? Like...
Wait, he thought he saw a dead body and you think he's been hallucinating in the school?
His parents don't love him. They don't love him.
And he speaks to Delilah, and she's totally in denial. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
She does
Delilah,
not give a
who
fuck.
Literally was there with him. She's like, oh, you know, maybe we were wrong, you know. Oh, like, blah, 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 blah. So you're like, okay. And she also starts wearing glasses.
Yeah. Which Stan mentions at one point. He's like, huh, you're wearing glasses. And she's like, contacts, usually.
Yeah. Which is just really weird.
Yeah.
But, yeah. It's not really addressed, but okay.
And then it's turned out, no. So Mary Beth and the goth girl, what's her face, Stokely, they are having a conversation. They're now friends. They're having a little kiki. And it turns...
She's like, oh, so you're straight. And she's like, who do you like?
Who do you like? Because that's what the girls talk about.
It's literally all women have ever spoken about.
In fact, I'm the third ever woman to talk about something else that's not men.
I mean, we've been sat here talking about men this whole time.
Oh my god. I was going to say the only other two women are Mrs. Kasha Davis and Mrs. Doubtfire.
The only women
that talk about anything else apart from men is Mrs. Doubtfire, Mrs. Kasha Davis, and me.
The only ones. So it turns out that our goth, Stockley, is actually into the jock.
The
Stan.
jock.
What? The goth and the jock?
Ooh.
Oh, never seen that before.
What a twist.
And so Mary Beth, our country girl, is like, well, go talk to him then. And she's like, no, I could never. So then they're walking past him, and Mary Beth, like,
She just shoves her into his lap.
Barges her into his lap. And she's like, oh, sorry. And she gets up and she says, are you looking forward to the game this weekend?
And he's like, I'm not playing.
And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I quit the team. And then she's like, why? And he explains his deep reasoning.
And it turns out basically he's really he's really tired of being sucked up to. So he's the quarterback, he's the captain.
I'm sick of people kissing my ass just because I'm the lead.
He has this story about how he got a D on a test and he had actually worked really hard for that D. But it had come right after a big match where he won the game, basically. And his science teacher bumps it up to an A, and he says, I worked really hard for that D.
Yeah, he says, I deserve to be. And then the god goes,
a straight D student.
Yeah, and he's like,
like a gay D student.
Gay D, because you want that geek D. Elijah was, leave him alone.
I didn't imply that was all you.
No, it was you. You said they were gay.
You said they were gay when we were watching the film.
Stop putting those images in my head. Stop.
I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize for turning Tyreece gay.
Thank you. Yeah, so she has that conversation. You bitch. She has that conversation, and then we start to get shots of around the school, and we see that in the teachers' lounge, they have started putting tons of water everywhere.
Yeah.
Those giant water jugs for the water cooler, stocked floor to ceiling. They have thousands of bottled waters, like water bottles everywhere. And they're turning on the AC because they're very hot. These weird new teachers who have been body snatched. And so we see that our goth and Mary Beth and the jock, etc., are walking through the hallway together after their class. And they see that all the students are queued up for something.
Yeah.
And they're very suspicious of it. And they find out that the nurse, Salma Hayek, who... I don't like you having to say
is giving people ear exams. And then
which, remember, she got ear fucked
yeah.
to become an alien. So you're like, oh my God.
But these
students are queuing up and they're being turned into body snatched aliens.
But a few more things have to happen before they put two and two together. Because only Elijah Wood knows that there's aliens.
Because Elijah Wood and Delilah have one half of the story, right?
Yeah.
And then now...
Stokely and Stan and Mary
have
Beth.
Another part of the story.
And Zeke don't know shit yet.
Zeke don't know nothing except drugs. Well, actually, he's very smart.
There's this one scene where, I think it was really cool how they did this, but the history teacher's like, right, we're going to do family history. You're going to write down who lives in your house, and then you're going to go live closest living near relatives. And so you can see how they're planning on, expanding.
Mm-hmm.
And how they're planning on, making sure everyone is, an alien, basically. Which I thought was really interesting. And so you can kind of see, they're they don't really have, a whole speech about how, you know what I mean, their full intentions and aims for the whole planet, right? But you can see it in the way they do things. Which I thought, for a movie that's so, kitschy and fun, that's quite, nice.
Yeah, I thought it had great pacing.
Definitely.
I think it did. And it was nice just unveiling the story. I mean, at this point, we now know that, this some sort of, alien is body snatching all the teachers, they're doing students. We kind of figured out most of what is happening at the moment. It's great. It's nice, especially because at this point not everyone is turned yet, but we know that it's heading there. So we already start to feel eerie because we know that the students are surrounded by other students and teachers who aren't human, and was very much just they're in the dragon's den. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's whoa. You don't even know you're in the snake pit. And they're just walking around like nothing's happened. Because, do you know what I mean? It's not...
They don't know.
It's not obvious yet.
And we start to see that, along with all these montages, we see that the students are acting really weird.
Yeah.
So we cut to Zeke outside, and this is the part of the story that he gets. But we see that the students are all queuing up for the water fountain.
Yeah.
There's this obsession with water when it comes to these body snatchers. And they're queuing up for the water fountain, and we see a couple in which the girlfriend is screaming at the boyfriend, saying, you're acting really weird, why don't you react, do something, say something.
Yeah.
And he just looks dead-eyed. And that's something that a lot of the people who have been changed, they just don't seem very emotional.
Yeah. Even the jocks who are usually rowdy, they're literally just sitting in an orderly way.
Yeah, it's really weird.
But this is also the scene where he meets Mary Beth.
Come on. So
Zeke and Mary Beth are walking through the playground. Or, I don't know what they're called.
No, when it's acting weird. All the students acting weird.
Yeah, all the students are acting
Where's
weird.
Damper style?
Yeah. Zeke and Mary Beth are walking through the playground, and Mary Beth is like, "Oh yeah, I moved here from the south. I don't know where she says it from, and I live with my cousins now after the accident when my parents died." And Zeke is like, "Oh yeah, my parents are dead too." And she goes, "They are?" And he says, "Well, they're basically
He says
be
they're breathing, but all intensive purposes, they're dead.
just." And she just goes, "Oh well, I guess we have a lot in common." What the fuck? That's how you're trying to get into girl pants. Is like, oh yeah, I have such a hard life. My parents don't like me, and her parents are literally fucking dead.
You should try that.
I should try pretending that my parents are dead to get in some pants. Is that how you got Andrew?
No.
Well then, why should I have to do it?
Everyone has to do different things, you know. We have different things that work for us.
And you think me pretending that my parents are dead is gonna work for me?
I don't know. But do you know? No, you don't. So try it.
Lying is bad.
Don't act like you're above lying. That is absolute bullshit.
I'm not above lying to like corporate, but I am above
I'll lie
lying
to the government, but I won't lie to hot babes.
Exactly. Hot babes, you have my heart.
Oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
What happens next? And
Oh yeah. And then you see the really like mousy teacher. She comes back.
yeah, the mousy teacher, like I call her the English teacher.
The English. I don't know what she's.
She was teaching English.
Oh, was she teaching English?
I don't know if she just teaches that, but we're calling her that.
The English teacher. She comes in.
The one who was timid with the thick glasses and might as well have braces.
Someone took her glasses off and told her she was pretty.
Yeah, it's the end of the film now where she's like hot and she becomes prom queen. She's sexy. She has like a red dress on. She's a completely different person, and she confronts Zeke in the courtyard.
And she's just like, "Stop peddling your shit," and he's like, "Get off my ass." And then
she reads him for Phil. She's just like, your parents don't love you. You're good for nothing. You useless little.
Literally, she goes crazy. And then she goes, "I've been taking your shit for too long. If I see you selling any more..."
I'm gonna shove my foot so far up your ass, you're going to be sucking my toes till graduation. That's what she said.
And now you guys aren't surprised why we thought there was a weird tension between them, because she's talking about sucking toes.
Right? Like, what is that?
That's so fucked. And she's just like, and Zeke doesn't know how to fucking react.
Yeah.
He's like,
So like he just walks away and he's just like, she's on some crazy shit.
She's on some
like,
crazy shit.
He kind of blames it on like she's probably doing drugs.
Sorry, yeah. I do find it ironic that the drug dealer is blaming someone's craziness on drugs.
Are we going to talk about how Elijah Woods and the Goth talk in the library?
That is literally what happens next.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying, are we going to talk about that?
Well, yeah, because fiction's real.
Okay, because it was a boring scene. I think that was my one boring scene.
Really? So the Casey, the Frodo, he wants to talk to the Goth, and because he thinks that she's the only one who's not like been infected, I think, at this point. And he says, "You know about sci-fi and stuff, right?" Because she's like a sci-fi nerd. And he's like, "I think that the aliens are taking over our school." And she's like, "Well, I did see like weird ear exams going on, like that was pretty fucked." And then he's like, "Do you think that fiction has been preparing us for an alien invasion so that we wouldn't be, so we wouldn't believe that it's actually happening?" And she's just like, "Yeah, basically, yeah."
And they just make a bunch of references to like
Body Snatchers, Puppet Master, sci-fi.
A bunch of author names
that I didn't know. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool, we get it. You read, like, Jesus.
Okay.
Like, so cool.
I read a book once too. You don't see me referencing it all the time.
So anyway, they're like, oh, let's go check on that new species we found, because they're like, okay, how does it work in those ones? Like, this and that. And she says, oh, in the Puppet Master.
Yeah.
It was parasites, I think she says, right?
It was parasites, yeah.
And they're like, that new species we found could be a body snatching parasite.
We gotta go check the thing. And so they wander off, and then it cuts back to Mary Beth and Zeke, and they're in like a science technician's room, like closet area.
You know where they keep like all the like materials.
Yeah.
And the like little.
So he's like stealing test tubes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, so you're just borrowing it?" And he was like, "I like to call it stealing," which is what it is. But yeah. And don't they make out? Zeke and Mary Beth.
I feel like that's such a big thing, and I don't remember.
Okay. Well, we think they are. And then it cuts back to the science room where it is Stokely, it's Casey, and I think Stan comes in later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Stokely and Casey.
Yeah.
And
Delilah's not there.
does she come in with Stan?
She might come in with Stan. We don't remember.
Point is, the thing is gone. The parasite is gone.
They're like, where the fuck is this parasite gone?
And they're like, maybe he's sent off to the university. And the geek is like, I doubt that.
I doubt that.
Yeah.
And
then that's when like
Stan and Delilah come in and they're like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And
then Delilah admits, she saes, I saw a dead body in the teacher's lounge.
and Casey's like, oh, we think aliens are taking over the school. And Stan's like, what the fuck? Delilah's like, I saw a dead body.
But Stan does not believe them. He doesn't at all. But
Which,
then
fair enough.
the next
I wouldn't either.
because it's a science classroom. So the cupboard, that they keep all the science equipment in, that Zeke is currently in, is next door, and they can hear the conversation through the vent. So him and Mary Beth come in, they surprise them, and they're like, what are you guys talking about? Oh, body snatchers. But yeah, the teacher walks in, and then is it Stan or is it Zeke that says it?
Zeke says what?
Casey here thinks you're an alien.
I think it's both of them. They like both say something similar.
Yeah, so they basically, the two non-believers say to the teacher, oh, Casey here thinks...
Shun the unbelievers!
Get this.
Shun the unbelievers!
He thinks you're an alien. Wild, crazy.
Little do the unbelievers know that he was speaking the truth.
Yeah. So then the teacher's like, oh, is that so? Thinks I'm an alien, okay. And he turns around and he closes the little curtain on the window to
I
the
don't think that they should, like, I understand the point of the windows in classrooms is so you can look in and see what's happening, right? But you should not have, I don't think they should be allowed to have shutters on them, like little curtains.
Because they can hide their child abuse.
Yeah, they could hide child abuse behind it or whatever. Or students can be doing naughty shit in there, like,
Which is good for them. Do what you want. That's what I say.
Be a lesbian.
Please, someone be a lesbian. Actually, at this point in the film, someone be gay. Like, actually, someone be gay.
Someone be gay.
Someone realistic.
There's no gays in this
What's
movie.
the statistics? Because how many people? We got a group of like 7. Like, one of them should be gay.
I think.
I think it's the jock.
You think it's the jock? I thought.
And it's the geek.
The geek.
I think they're gay for each other.
Oh, and are you telling me this because I put the images into your head, or are you telling me this because?
Because you keep putting these images in my head, Dea. Stop.
Okay. Not your own conclusion, just mine.
Just your conclusion.
Okay, fair enough then.
So yeah, so the science teacher closes the flap and he turns around all menacingly, and it's like a bit weird, and Zeke is like, oh, this is funny, but I gotta go.
Yeah.
And then the teacher stops him and it's like, you ain't going nowhere, boy.
He dashes him across the room.
Yeah, he flips like over a desk.
Then he's holding up the nerd by his like neck for a little while, and Delilah gets flipped over a table.
Yeah.
And then he throws the nerd, but then Stan goes to catch him because, as you said, as is your conclusion, that they're gay.
Yeah, because they're gay, because this is his boyfriend. And then Z wastes no time.
Yeah.
And he rips the blade off of a paper cutter. You know those like paper cutter in classrooms? It's like a big, almost looks, it's like a machete.
Yeah.
He rips that thing off and he's like, bro, stop, right? And the teacher's like, you think you're blah, blah, blah. Zeke wastes no time. He slices the science teacher's fingers off.
But they don't bleed. It's like, I'm not going to lie, they use CG in this film a lot, and it doesn't really hold up very well.
No, it doesn't.
And so these fingers...
But they do have practical effects as well, and I think the practical effects are very good.
The practical effects are good. Like, a lot of the gore is practical, and that looks fine.
Yeah. But the fingers fall onto the ground, and then we see that the fingers start crawling on the ground.
They're like wiggling.
With a life of their own, which is really creepy.
Yeah.
And out of that science teacher's hand comes these red tentacles that were just like the red tentacles that were on the parasite in the fish tank.
Crazy.
And he like tries to like attack with the red tentacles. It's gross.
He just attacks with the red tentacles, he attacks with the fingers, he attacks with his hands, and they're like trying to kill him, they're trying to defeat him, and the only thing that they can do is Zeke has like a pen full of the drug, right? And he uses that to stab the teacher in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And then the drug reacts really badly in the alien system, and so it's like pus or like frothy like white liquid comes out of the teacher's eye, and he's like dead.
And they realize obviously that the drugs in the pen is what killed him.
Yeah.
They might not know why yet, but they know that the drugs in the pen are the reason he died. So they got a kryptonite.
And then they decide to leave because they're like, nope, we're going to leave.
Yeah.
Which is smart. It's a very smart decision.
So they run out of the school. Well, they walk at a pace
out
of the school, and everyone is sort of looking at them. Most people, either people are acting really weird, or they're staring at them, or just kind of like giving them weird glances. And at this point, we think, damn, the whole school has been turned.
It feels like the whole school's been turned.
Yeah.
That couple who was arguing, that woman, she's acting all lovey-dovey towards him again.
Yeah.
And it looks like everyone's staring at them. Like, you know when you have like a stain on your shirt and you think everyone can see it? It feels like that.
That's exactly what the scene felt like. It captured the feeling very well, actually.
Yeah. And they get into the car, into Zeke's car.
Yeah.
Wait,
his nice car that they didn't know how he afforded.
Well, now we find out he's got rich parents and he's like a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Like, that's double rich.
Because they drive to his house and they go into the back and find out that he's got a meth lab.
He's got a fucking meth lab in his house.
Because he's what?
I don't want to say it yet.
Okay, we'll find out later.
I said something about him, but I just think, yeah.
You'll hear it in a moment. Go
on. And they use animal testing on a little mousey.
Oh, yeah. So they're like, we got to figure out what's happening here. They have a parasite that they got from the science teacher.
Yeah.
That sort of came out of his body when he died.
Yeah.
It seems to be dead.
Because it's not in any moist, fleshy host.
Yeah, it's like dried up. So they take it into his like meth lab and he cuts off a slither of the parasite and he puts it into a cage with his mouse, and the mouse goes to eat it, and then all of a sudden this fleshy piece of the parasite springs out those red tentacles, wraps around the mouse's head, which I think this was decent CGI.
Yeah.
And sucks itself into the rat's ear, and then the mouse starts to act really weird. And so then Zeke reaches into the cage and like kills the mouse off camera, and cut to the next scene in which he's dissecting the mouse and its stomach is open.
Yeah.
And they find that the piece of the parasite is inside of his stomach.
Yeah, and it's still living. And then they have this really interesting... well, not really interesting. It's very reminiscent of, you know, the blood test scene in The Thing, where they're like, who the fuck is an alien, right? And they're having the same discussion, like, who the fuck's the alien? And the only way we can figure it out is if they do the drugs. And it's, like, very convenient that they have this, like, meth magician to fucking help them out with his lab and his drugs and his science smarts and his car. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because they all start turning on each other.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, Zeke discovers that why the drug works. He uses a word, but it basically dries out the body.
Yeah.
And he pours it onto the mouse and the parasite and sees how it shrivels up and dies.
Yeah.
Officially. And so, yeah, they're just having that, how do I know you're not an alien? How do I know you're not an alien?
And so they're like, okay, you do the drug. So then Casey does the drug first, and he's tweaking out. Like, he's giggling and laughing this whole time.
But he's human.
Yeah, he's human. And then fucking Stan picks up, because Zeke has a gun on the table. He's not locked it away.
Picks up the gun and says, Zeke, you're next.
You're next, Zeke, you're next. And Zeke's like, okay. So he sniffs and he's fine.
And he says, Stan, you're next.
You're next. And Stan sniffed it and he's fine.
And then it's just the two girls left, Mary
and
Beth.
Neither of them want to do it.
And I know Mary Beth has already established before.
No, it's the three girls, because Stokely
right.
does it. Stokely does it, she's fine.
She does.
And then it's the two girls, and it's Delilah and Mary Beth.
And Mary Beth has already said before, because Zeke did offer her drugs earlier on in the film, that she is allergic to things like fentanyl.
She's like, I'm allergic to aspirin, like, that will go crazy for me.
So she was nervous to take drugs anyway.
Suspicious.
And the preppy girl won't take them either. And then...
Suspicious.
Zeke with the pistol in his hand is like, no, you both have to take it.
Yeah.
So he hands them both a pen of drugs and says, at the same time, come on. So both girls do it at the same time. Mary Beth does it, and she's a bit, gross, but she's fine. And then we start to hear a lot of commotion coming from Delilah.
She, like, jumps back into the stash of drugs. That's because she's sitting in front of it.
Freaking out. And they like, what's going on? So they grab her shoulder, turn her around.
She's an alien.
And there's all these parasites moving around underneath her face.
Kind of like the vines in the ruins. They're moving around that girl's face.
Yeah.
But this one uses CGI, and so it looks kind of bad.
So obviously they're freaking out, and they're like, shoot her, and Stan's got the gun, I think. Is it Stan that has the gun? Or Zeke? It doesn't even matter. The point is the men were hesitant to
Oh
shoot
my
her.
god, yeah.
Because they were like, and she's also acting like she's normal.
Yeah.
So she's like, I don't know what's happening. I'm scared. She's lying, Yeah. And like, shoot her, won't shoot her. And then
Stokely, she just fucking grabs the gun and she's like, I'll shoot her.
Yeah, she's like, I'll do it then. Bang, bang, bang.
Bang, bang, bang. And she misses, but she was eager.
She was so eager.
She was
to
so
be fair,
ready.
she's been getting bullied by the prep like ever.
Yeah.
So I don't blame her, but she was like,
she was ready.
Yeah, she
to
said,
shoot
please,
her.
can I do it? Please, is what she said. So Delilah like is able to escape because they're really bad.
Because they're all high.
Yeah, and on her way, she destroys the meth lab, like destroying all of the.
Doesn't she destroy the car? No, she doesn't destroy the car.
No, she runs outside and there's a car waiting for her.
Yeah, which
From
we
one of the
see
other
pull
aliens.
up.
Yeah.
Actually, while they're doing the drug test, there's a cuts to the shot outside, and the car pulls up. There, and you're like, "What the fuck's that?"
Yeah.
But it turns out they were just coming to pick her up.
Yeah, she'd sent it like an SOX text. XOX.
She just put on Life 360. Mum, can you come get me?
She put on a little TikTok. Hey, are you almost home now? Yeah, I'll be waiting for you. Yeah, I've got your live location. Yeah, all your brothers are here. Yeah, I've got my gun.
Yeah. And then they're like, right, where the hell, like, how the hell are they going to infect the rest of these guys? And they're like, at the football game.
At the football game.
At the football game. And they're like, all right, we're going to go to the football game. And it cuts to the football game.
Yeah. And what's happening is our home team, right, our alien home team, is being really aggressive with this visiting away team and then knocking them down. And then as they're down, or in their like scrimmages, right?
Yeah, in their little piles that American footballers
they're
do.
sneaking parasites into the enemy team's like ears.
Into their helmets.
Yeah. So they're slowly converting this other team, which is smart because that team will go back to their school and
they'll infect everyone else. But they're really not being subtle about like how aggressive they're being. Like the signs that the aliens have on their like team in the crowds is like kill. Yeah. They're literally chanting like kill, like, kill. You're like, wow, bit competitive.
So obviously our group of, the fucking the Scooby gang.
The Scooby-Doo gang.
They're on the way to the school and they sort of figure out that there is probably a queen bee to sort of this like these parasites and that they need to save their drugs that they have because
they need to save their drugs
because they can't make any more because Delilah destroyed them all when she was escaping. So they only have a few pens left worth of drugs, and so they need to find the queen bee, and they believe that if they kill the queen bee that it will kill all of them.
But who's the queen bee? And they're like, oh, it's the principal because that would make the most sense.
Right.
But we think that it's the drama teacher because the camera lingers on her a little too long.
Also, there's a good few shots where the drama teacher is the one who like is whispering stuff in the principal's ear.
Yeah.
Or telling people how to do things. And she also was the one to lie to the students and be like, oh, that teacher had cancer. Like, she's really been like manipulating and masterminding things. So we think it's the drama teacher, but the group thinks that it's the principal.
Yeah.
And so they
kind of lure the principal over to them.
Into the gymnasium.
Yeah.
Alone. And the principal's like,
you're not
supposed to be here. Come with me. You got to be reprimanded. And they tie her up with like a tennis net.
Yeah.
And they pull a gun on her.
And they're like, sniff this.
Sniff the drugs.
And she goes, no.
And she's really selling it. She's like, no, like, what are you doing? Like, stop. And they're, a bit hesitant.
For some reason, they gave the nerd the gun.
Yeah. But he's hesitant because he's like, what if we got it wrong? What if she's actually human? Yeah. Also, they realize that their guess at this point is if they kill the queen bee, then everyone else will be set free. And so if they kill her now, she's not the queen bee, then she's dead forever.
Yeah.
Whereas if they keep her alive and look for the actual, but also she could just be human. So they're worried. And then I think it's Zeke. Is he the one that grabs the gun?
So what they do is they end up shooting the principal. We don't remember who. I think it's Zeke.
I think Zeke grabs the gun and he shoots her in the head and she falls to the ground and blood starts to pool out of her head. And they start to panic thinking, oh shit, she's human and we fucked up.
Yeah. And then Mary Beth sprays her, like with drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of jumps back up again because she's like dying or whatever the fuck. And then they shoot her again.
Yeah. But by the way, Mary Beth is the one that throws the drugs.
She literally drove.
She used the whole thing.
Yeah.
They had put the drugs into a little canister, and she, in panic, which I get. this monster came at her, attacking her. She throws the whole fucking bucket.
fucking thing.
They have a few pens, like I think 2 more pens of drugs, but she throws the whole fucking cup of drugs at her, wastes the whole thing. Which, by the way, the alien ends up basically dissolving to fucking bones.
Yeah.
Why didn't they pick the drugs up from the ground?
They could have just scooped
Because it was like
more
a pile
drug.
of drugs. I would have scooped that shit. Not all of it would be good because some of it was a bit moistened up by the weird foam that comes out of them.
Yeah.
But I would have scooped up what was good.
Use
That's
it
how
again.
important
Reuse
it
it.
was. Mhm.
Recycling is important, guys. You know what? Like, it's so bad that they wasted all that. Consumerism gone wild, I'm telling you.
No, genuinely. Especially because they spent so much time in this gymnasium because they felt safe there. Like, you had time. Go get
Yeah.
a brush, you know? Oh, and then he realized, okay, she's not the leader because they go outside and they check and everyone is still kind of acting weird. So they're like, oh, let's find out, like...
Yeah, it's Stan who goes to check, and then...
Which, by the way, is so stupid. They all stay inside and Stan goes out to the field to go and check on his own. Like, what? Anyway, it's raining now and he sees it's raining and it's raining
And all
heavy.
of the aliens, they're facing the sky, and they have these tentacles coming out, kind of like feeding on the water.
Yeah, which they have already established at this point that water is how these things thrive and also how they reproduce. You know, it's how they get stronger because the drug is what dehydrates them and that's how it kills them, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, the sees that it's raining heavily outside and he still goes and he faces the entire football team and the coach. And there's it's this very cool shot as they're facing this guy, as you said, with the tentacles. The lightning flashes, and as it does, we see almost like an overlay of like an exoskeleton, almost like we're seeing an X-ray of them, and they've got the bone structure of the parasites now, and we see the sharp teeth through their flesh in these
Really
flashes
cool.
of lightning. Cut back to the rest of the Scooby Gang in the school.
And they're feeling safe. They're like, oh, is Stan coming back? And then Stan starts banging on the windows, and they're
Freaking
like,
out, like, let me
let
in
me
quick.
in, let me in. And because he had kissed, or Stokely had kissed him before he left, he's using Stokely's affection for him to try and manipulate
It's
her.
like, let me in,
to let me in.
And they're like, no,
let me in.
you're a thing. And he's like, I'm not, I'll prove it. Like, and they're
Give
like,
me the drugs, give me the drugs.
but they only have 1 pen of drugs left.
And so they give it to him,
So they slide it under the door,
and he pours it out.
and he goes to sniff it, and he pulls it out.
Pours it out.
Yeah, and he does a little evil face. He's like,
It's like-
Stokely, come on. And then he starts to do that weird thing that happens in a lot of like body snatching cult films with like, it's so much better on this side.
It's so much
There's
better.
no pain.
There's no hatred.
only happiness.
Yeah.
Like, become one of us. Like, and they, you know, it breaks Stokely's heart, her little goth heart. Goths do have hearts. But she lets him go and they go back to the gymnasium.
Yeah.
And they realize we're fucked. We can't do anything now.
We
'cause
don't have any
we're gonna
drugs
do-
left.
Bear in mind, there's still a pile of drugs on the floor with the one
They
they
could have
killed.
just scraped it up, but they choose not to.
No, and Zeke says, I've got some extra drugs in the back of my car because he'd be selling
Yeah.
from his car. And then they're like, oh, you mean your car that's in the
That's
middle
in the
of
fucking parking lot.
in the middle
near
of all
those...
the aliens?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. So
Him-
Zeke and Casey go out to get the drugs.
Yeah. And there's this really cool shot where it's like the footballers are like marching, and then you see that they're marching in front of these school buses, and these guys are like, Casey and Zeke are going from one school bus to the other, like ducking underneath whilst the football players march, and it feels like a video game scene in my opinion.
It is very cool.
It's very like fun, I think. And he's like, why did you bring me if you could have gotten here yourself? And Zeke's like, well, one of us is a decoy. Cut to Casey fucking running from a horde of them.
I don't know why they continue to make him run because he's a terrible runner, but you know what?
He's fast.
He's fast. Even if he doesn't run well, he runs fast, and
Yeah.
that's all that matters. So the entire football team is after him. He's able to kind of juke them, and he hides inside of a school bus. And he's like, yes, I've like escaped them. Great. He locks the door, obviously.
Delilah's in the school bus.
Delilah's in the school bus. He turns around, Delilah's there.
Delilah's-
Which, by the way, why the fuck was she in the school bus?
Because she knew he was going to be there.
Wow. There were like 12 school buses, but she knew that he'd be in
She
that
had her
one.
bitch sense. She sensed the nerd, and she's like, I need to bully him. She's like, I want you. We can finally be together now that the hierarchy is gone.
Yeah, like
Join
join
our
us
side.
and we can finally do it
And
together.
we think at this point he's fucked because there's the crazy bitch in the bus with him, and then he's surrounded by jocks, and they're like
And they're banging on the door.
I think some of them smash windows at one point,
Yeah.
and once they get in, he jumps up because there's actually a hatch on the top of the bus,
Yeah.
and which we didn't see, and we were like, oh my god, that's so smart.
Like he's a little ninja, just whoosh, which
Yeah, he's very crafty.
yeah, he's a nifty little cunt.
Yeah, but he ends up running back to the gym, and he's fine. which we find out in like 5 minutes.
So he escapes.
But now we're
now we
back
cut
with Zeke.
to Zeke, who finally made it to the car because his little decoy, was able to distract the enemies.
Yeah.
He opens the boot, sees his drugs, grabs them, and then he realizes, oh shit.
He closes the boot, and there's the fucking teacher, the one that said she's gonna shove her foot up his ass.
The one that he may or may not have had inappropriate relations with.
And you know what she says? She's like, he's like, oh, do you want those chocolate laxatives then? And she was like, no, I was thinking of something cherry flavored, like the condoms he offered her. And I'm like, ugh,
and he's like, I got something better for you or whatever. She's like, oh yeah,
something tasty.
Yeah, and he tricks her. And then he jumps into the car.
And
he's trying to start. He starts driving. And I kid you not, this killed me. But she meant business.
She jumped into that car.
Head first through the car window, the
car
passenger door
smashes.
window. Head first, not hands, no. Head first, headbutts her way into the car.
She's sitting
slides
next to him.
right into the passenger seat. She's in his face, like whispering all sorts.
Trying to get her tongue
in his ear.
Yeah.
She's got like a split tongue, tentacle tongue. It's very weird.
Yeah.
And he's freaking out, obviously steering, trying to get her to fall out the car.
But then he crashes the car.
Yes, explodes. He gets out. He's a bit injured. Not crazy though.
Yeah.
And she's beheaded. Her head is decapitated.
And it's so funny because her head grows tentacles and is like crawling around. And her body, it's a wide shot of her head in the foreground and her body in the background. And her body is standing up, looking for her head. Yeah. And her head is on tentacles,
classic,
looking for her body.
Headless body.
And he's like, what the fuck is this?
And her head is so limp, like trying to figure out where to go. But we see that the body finally finds the head, picks it up.
And reattaches it.
Yeah, reattaches itself, which is so crazy.
Insane.
But Zeke is already making his way back to the gymnasium.
He's fucked off at this point.
Cut back to the gymnasium.
And Stokely and Mary Beth are having a conversation. And Mary Beth is like, how does the story end? And she's like, oh, well, the aliens leave and we win. And she's like, huh. Yeah. Well, what was... And then she starts saying like things like, oh, well, what was like wrong with their side?
Yeah. How do we know? What Stan was saying sounded good.
Yeah. How do we know if they're wrong? Right?
Maybe it is all happiness. Maybe I don't want pain. And then she says, what she say? She says, aren't you sick of pretending to be something you're not?
She's like, you pride yourself in being an outsider, but shouldn't you stop pretending to be something you're not?
I know I am.
And
then she swaps, Mary Beth whaps the goth bitch in the face, and she tumbles. Turn camera to the motherfucking Mary Beth, who now has a little fucking tentacle arm.
She has tentacle arms, and the CG looks really bad.
It does look really bad.
It looks really bad.
But then she transforms
into giant monster alien,
human-sized parasite, like a huge alien, which is physical effects, like the actual alien itself, which I thought was really good. I really like the physical effects, and Casey finally makes it to the gymnasium and is like, oh my god, what the fuck is happening? And the goth bitch is like, it's Mary Beth, she's the queen bee, she's the queen bee. So they're freaking out. They run out of the room and accidentally run into the swimming pool room.
Yeah.
And being chased by the giant parasite Mary Beth now.
Yeah.
And they run around the pool, obviously, trying to get to the other door.
Because they're not going to fucking swim, are they?
Yeah. And then Mary Beth, parasite, giant thing, jumps into the water. And like a fucking crocodile, just starts soaring from one side to the other. They're freaking out. They finally make it to the door, but just as they do,
Stokely gets pulled into
the water, and she gets her face smacked off the concrete floor.
There's blood coming down her nose, and she gets pulled into the water. And it looks like there's these underwater shots, and it looks like she's trying to be eaten, although we know she's trying to be infected, right? By the thing.
And the thing goes to bite her.
Yeah.
And then...
But then Casey reaches down and pulls her out just in time.
Yeah. Rescues her.
Yeah.
Which is really nice of him. And then they run out the other door.
Yeah.
Which turns out to be the locker rooms.
Yeah. And then we get this... Is it now we get the cool shot of her turning into a human? Yes.
Yeah.
So we get this cool shot, and it's like...
So it's like the shadow in the swimming pool of the parasite.
And the shadow gradually gets smaller and changes shape, and then she's a human again. But now she's naked.
But it's done really well.
Yeah.
Like really, really, I love that shot so much.
Yeah.
And she gets out of the pool and she's all naked. And she's like,
And then Zeke finally gets back, and he's like, what the hell's going on here? And Stokely's like, believe me. And Mary Beth is like, believe me. And he's like, who the fuck do I believe?
But then he realizes Mary Beth is naked.
And she's like, why are you naked?
And she's like,
does my body bother you, Zeke?
Yeah, I was getting used to it. Do you have a problem with it?
Yeah. And then she transformed into a big ass monster.
And then she starts insulting
Oh my
Stockley,
God.
and she's like, she's just a stupid like lesbian like muff muncher. Like, what does she know? Like, don't listen to her. Listen to me. And so then he realizes, oh, okay, Marybeth is
Marybeth's an alien.
So then he goes to attack her, but then Stokely attacks Zeke, and it turns out
They're both
aliens now.
They're both aliens.
While Stockley was in the water,
Double alien.
she got transformed.
Double alien.
So they were like, it's her. It's both of you. But luckily, Casey's behind the goth bitch and grabs her before she can attack Zeke.
Yeah.
And locks her in the like equipment cage. I forgot to mention, by the way, when she was in the water, she became like the big parasite monster was in the swimming pool. She became like much larger, like she became huge. And we think it's because she was like sort of empowered by the hydration, because it just seemed to be like really empowered by water. And so yeah, so Zeke gets knocked out by Marybeth, and Stockley's still locked in the cage, and she's now after Casey. And it's a very cool scene where the locker room's all dark, and Casey's like hiding, around the locker rooms, and she's looking for him, walking very slowly and menacingly. And she has this monologue where as she's walking butt naked through the locker room, she tells him, like, oh, come on, like, it'd be so much easier if you just like gave up. And she talks about how her home world was full of infinite swimming pools.
No, she says my world was full of a beautiful ocean, and it was amazing and so peaceful.
Yeah, she said it was like full of infinite pools of water.
She says ocean. She doesn't say pool.
But she says infinite. The word infinite's in there.
Yeah.
The point is, she says until it starts to dry up, and then she left her planet. It's very cute. You get a little background, which I thought it was more than enough information for me. I didn't need any more than that. I was like, okay, cool. We got a little bit of story. And as she's walking, there's these cool shadows of like tentacles around her. But what I liked about the shadows is they had the same essence as shadows in a swimming pool. They had the same sort of waviness and
like blurriness
as like, yeah, so it felt like, when you're in a swimming pool and you see the shadows against the walls of the swimming pool. It was very much that, which I really liked. And then Casey's like, I want to be scared. I don't want to live without fear, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And so she chases after him, transforms back into a parasite.
Yeah. And then she pushes him up against this wall, and he's got what the last pen full of drugs.
And he's able to trap her.
Yeah.
Because what he does is, that really stupid thing they have in American schools that's been used in like a million different like kills and deaths in film, where the seats come off of the wall mechanically. He runs behind it, and she's chasing him through it. She's much larger though, because she's a giant parasite, so she can't get through.
Yeah.
And as he gets to the other side, he closes it, and it literally traps her in between the steps because it like is crushing her. And then he like has a handful of drugs.
Yeah, and he stabs her with it, and he's guaranteed to jack you up, which is the same thing that Zeke says earlier in the film when they're doing the drug test.
Yeah, which was cheesy.
Oh, yeah,
cute.
and we didn't even tell her how she faked the drug test. Do you want to know how she did it? She closed her nostrils, and she just took the lid off the pen off the other side and let the drugs fall out.
Yeah, because remember, they all took drugs.
And they were all super fucking high. They didn't even notice.
My stomach's rumbling so much. Like, actually, I know it's in the recording. You're going to hear it the whole time. I apologize for my rumbling stomach. I'm being starved.
We're almost done. And so then, for a second, we're like, did it actually take effect? Because she reaches out, and her mouth becomes like these pincers, and they pinch his cheeks.
Oh, yeah, she shoots what we then realize is like the little parasites, but they're so sharp, and they burrow into his cheeks, and it's very gruesome.
Yeah.
Where they're half in, half out, and they're like slowly making their way deeper, and he's screaming and screeching until she slowly sort of dies, and they stop moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they drop out of his face because they've sort of died, and she starts to shrivel up.
She withers away.
Like a slug with salt on it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, she starts to like turn grey and shrivel up.
And he goes to check on Zeke and Stokely, and they're both fine.
Yeah.
He's like, are you? And she's like, I hope so.
And everyone has like dried up parasites next to them that have like left their body.
Yeah. And then it cuts to 1 month later, and we see what happened to everyone. No, your stomach again.
I'm so fucking hungry.
He's still hungry a month later.
So 1 month later, and there's some updates. Here we go. 1 month later, our drug dealer Zeke is on the football team.
Still smoking while he's running around, though.
Still smoking while he's running around. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it ever established he had an interest
The
in it?
coach is like, put the butt out and get back to running.
Yeah, he's like, just because you're a star player, whatever, doesn't mean I'm going to lean on you. I'm like, a star player?
On a month?
When did he...
In a month? I guess he's just good at everything, this fucking guy.
I guess so.
What a bitch. And for some reason the teacher's watching him, but now she's wearing a choker.
Yeah, she's wearing a choker. So the teacher who got beheaded, I guess she didn't technically get killed. So she was one of the people who was saved. But, like, she's got a choker on and we're like, what is underneath there? Like, if she takes it off, does her head fall off? Or has she just got a really nasty scar?
I think it's a scar.
My stomach. Wait, give my stomach a minute. A moment of silence for my stomach.
I don't think your stomach got the memo about the silence.
I'm just so hungry. Okay. So yeah, he's joined the team, which is absolutely ridiculous.
So now we get to see what Stokely and Stan are up to, and they're now together, which is so cute. But Stokely's no longer goth. Well, we think...
The gothness went with the lesbianism. Like, she's no longer lesbian, she's no longer a goth.
Yeah.
Which is so sad.
Yeah.
Stop erasing the gays.
Stop erasing the goths
That
as
was
well.
the agenda. That was the agenda of the parasites. Remember how we was talking about, like, what their plans are?
This is the straight agenda.
They heterosexualize them. And then the last couple we see...
Oh my god, this was the worst one.
Our nerd Casey and the prep...
Delilah.
Which, by the way, can I just say...
but a bitch this whole movie.
She was a horrible bitch before she got transformed to alien.
Yeah.
So she just wasn't a good person. Everyone else had their moments because they were transformed or because of the height. No, she just was a bitch. So now she's dating him because he's famous, apparently.
Yeah.
She drops down all these magazines with his face on it.
And it's like a fan club.
Times Weekly and stuff. And it's like hero or hoax. And it's like we see that there are like news anchors like coming to like interview him from a distance.
And now, so she doesn't want him when he's a normal guy, but suddenly when he's famous, she's all over him, and he's just happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he's like, this hot girl likes me. Finally.
I'm sorry, but you deserve better, babe.
You deserve better babes.
You deserve better
babes.
You get. That's why he went gay in Lord of the Rings, and he's fucking Samwise.
But that's the end of the film, and I was glad for the skip forward just so we could see where they were. But I was depressed that she is now straight. I was confused that Zeke is now an athlete. And I also was just, like, disappointed in Casey for getting with the girl that literally does not give a shit about him. If he wasn't famous, she wouldn't want him.
Fully.
No.
Fully.
But that was the film. As far as I felt, my thoughts, I gave it a 3 out of 5.
I give it a 3.5 just because I'm a little bit more lenient than you.
Which is weird because I'm usually more lenient.
But I think it's because I now rate films mostly based purely on my enjoyment, and I enjoy this film a lot.
That's what I used to do, and I've decided to get a little bit more critical than recently. So we've both gone different directions.
That's fun. What's your overall thoughts then?
Well, I thought it was very good.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I thought it had really good, enjoyable performances. It had a cast with a few like really fun, surprising faces, which I don't think was their intention. I don't know if it was. But the acting, a lot of it was really, really good. Really, really enjoyable, more importantly. It had very classic character types that were always like fun and always feel familiar and friendly. It had decent pacing, pretty good pacing. I liked the time in which it took to find out the information. I thought that like I didn't ever feel like they were going around in circles. I felt like it was always moving forward, which I really like. It wasn't the fastest paced film, but it was a decent pace. I liked it, and it has some really great visuals and cinematography. And the practical effects I thought were really fun. It was that, very practical creature horror that we don't get as much now.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I really liked. Yeah.
I said it's a very fun film. Some of the characters are really unlikable. I'm specifically talking about Zeke and Delilah. I just don't find them... Like, whilst Zeke was useful, he just wasn't that likable to me. And Delilah was just a bitch the whole movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, why do they get happy endings?
Why?
You know? I dislike the lesbian subplot. I don't like the fact that she's using lesbianism to hide the fact that she wants connection. And I'm like, everyone wants human connection. That's not actually
including
embarrassing. Including lesbians, including goths. I don't understand why that's such an embarrassment for her.
Yeah.
I get you want to be independent. That's fine. Be independent. But
I'd be fine if they gave us one back.
Yeah, if they...
Like, make her straight, but then make one of the people we thought were straight gay.
Make Delilah lesbian. No, done.
Yeah, like...
Make Mary Beth a lesbian. I don't know. Make someone else.
She's gone. Remember, she was evil.
Yeah. Make the nerd gay. I don't know.
Yeah, with the jock. Yeah. Give us that, and you can take the lesbian.
Yeah.
You know what? Even if she did stop being a lesbian, if she just stayed goth.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is she now wearing pastels and like doesn't wear eyeshadow anymore?
That's fucking weird. But then that actually leads into my next point. And it's the film about being different ends with conformity. they're all outcasts and they're all different in their own ways, apart from like Delilah, basically.
Yeah.
And they all end up conforming.
Yeah.
Casey's a hero, Zeke's on the football team, Stan is doing better in school, and fucking Stokely is now his girlfriend. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my god, you're so right. Now that I think about it, like, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You're so right. The goth stopped being goth. She started being straight. The jock started like actually learning and becoming smart.
Yeah.
And the fucking drug dealer started
Play
playing football and getting his on the straight. And oh god, where did the flavor go?
Yeah.
And then the geek stopped being a geek and started being a cool guy and a hero.
Yeah. It's like, what in the Breakfast Club is this?
Let me go.
I do not like the Breakfast Club.
But yeah, you got more to say?
The CGI doesn't really hold up well.
It doesn't.
And the music is pretty good.
I think it was decent for the time.
I actually did think of a question for you while we were doing this.
You got a question for me? What are you going to ask me?
Okay, because originally we didn't have one for this episode. But my question is if you were an alien parasite, where would you infect first?
In the world?
Yeah. It could be a hospital, school, a person, a place, where? A country, I don't know. What would your strategy for taking over the world be?
Like Comic-Con.
You think Comic-Con would be the best place to go?
Because I think people come from all over the world. Or like, let's say it's like an American one. Like they come from all over the US.
Oh, okay.
Like people like drive like days, weeks.
That's fair.
And people come internationally as well, you know? So then I infect all those people at the convention and they go all back to their states. All their states are infected.
Fair enough.
Something that just gets everyone from like a lot of places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would infect an air hostess or like a flight attendant.
Okay, but then that's quite slow.
Yeah, but I
'Cause
think...
you got to do like a different group of planes at a time and it's just like...
But you think... I don't think it has to be that slow though. Because you can start with your colleagues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then every time you need to help let's say like a disabled person or a sick person onto the plane, you can easily lean in, stick the parasite in, right? And then you have a whole... Let's say you're all of the crew is now infected. You have that whole plane of people, right?
And then you drop them off at whatever country.
And so then you have that whole plane of people and they're all infected. And they now go either home and they infect their families, or they go to work and they infect their colleagues.
Or holiday.
Or holiday and they infect a whole fucking resort or a country. And because you're basically... It trickles down like that. And because it's so spread out, it's difficult to catch.
I think I see how we had some ideas. And my idea was like, everyone comes to me. But your idea is being able to go to everyone.
Yeah.
That's smart.
And
I like that.
it's difficult to track down the queen when the queen is like 1 minute in Malaysia, the next minute in fucking Turkey, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
smart.
my strategy.
Okay, cool. I was just going to ask, like, what would you do if you were in these kids' shoes? What's your strategy?
Probably just conform.
You just be like, take me. I feel like that's all your answer. You're just like, I'll just become a zombie. I'll just die at the beginning.
No, the zombie one is a personal thing because I think I love zombie movies and I'd love to be a zombie if that's my horror monster, right? But
what about if you end up with like one of the zombies that like don't have legs, the crawlers, that's it? I feel like that's the worst kind of zombie.
I think that'd be really funny though. I think my mum would like laugh her head off. Okay, fine. If I have to live, right? I just stay home. Right?
Yeah.
Like, these kids are getting infected because they like going into the ear exam room. You could just say, like, I can just say, oh, I have a medical condition, I can't do it.
Yeah, but they're gonna come for you eventually.
They're gonna come for me eventually, but by that point, I'll be like somewhere else.
Yeah, but if you don't stop them, they're gonna infect the whole world.
Then I guess they're gonna come to me eventually, but I would just hope that Elijah Wood was nearby to stop them for me.
I don't know. I don't
What would you do then?
take up drugs. Not just because obviously the drugs would be helpful to stop them, but just because I think I need to cope. I just to cope. Yeah.
They're like coming for you and you're just in the bathroom with cocaine, like...
It's like, you know what? Go ahead, try it. You know what? I'd be so dehydrated. I wouldn't even be useful to them. Because the reason they take over human bodies is because we're like 98% water. I'm 3%. I'm so dehydrated. There's no way they're getting anything out of me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they're going to die.
You could spike their water supply.
With what?
With drugs.
I don't know if it would work as well if it was that hydrated, though, because the drug would get hydrated.
Oh, I guess so. What about it probably take ages, but there's this way you can put like 2 liquids in a bowl, but you only see one of them, and it's like using like a second lid, but it's like tilted like that, and then you have the drugs there like on top of it. So then they go and they unscrew the water, and then they don't get any water. They just get the drugs.
This is so much work.
This is so much work.
Girl, I'm doing drugs in the bathroom. Leave me alone.
Fair enough.
You're at home, apparently.
I'm at home. I don't leave the house anyway. I may as well.
Okay, well, this has been a great episode. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
This has been The Faculty.
Yes.
We hope you watch it. If you have, please comment how you felt about it.
What kind of alien would you be? What would your strategy be to infect the world with your alienness?
Yeah, and if you have any requests or recommendations for what films we should talk about or watch,
absolutely,
please drop them in the comments below.
Do that. In the description, you will find social media links to mutual aid organisations like Palestine Action, Palestine Solidarity Campaign, and Operation Olive Branch. Yeah. Underneath that, you will find our
Instagram,
TikTok, Twitter that we don't use,
Twitter that we never use,
Letterboxd, yeah, and our personal social media pages.
Check those out.
Remember to like, to comment, to rate us if you're on.
And share. Yeah. Go ahead. Send this to someone you think would like it, which you probably don't know anyone.
And they can listen to us wherever they get their podcasts.
Oh, yeah. We're everywhere. We're not just on YouTube.
Yeah.
We are on, I mean, you might not be listening to us on YouTube, but we are on
Spotify.
Spotify. Apple. But we're on Deezer, girl. That's the one that always gets me. We're on Deezer.
Oh, your SoundCloud.
I wouldn't be surprised. We're on Acast. Yeah.
Well, we're everywhere. Yeah. So you gotta like, you gotta follow us or subscribe.
We said all this. All you have to do now is
come back.
Go to sleep. Good night.
Is come back.
Oh yeah, please come back.
Please come back.
Please.
Leave a hate comment if you want.
We love that. You know what? If you want to hate watch, go ahead.
Yeah, hate watch.
I hate watch these. So it's fine.
Bye bye. Love you.
Bye.
Heart.
Oh, I did my own.
Oh, heart.
Oh, okay.
You don't get included in my
heart. Do
heart.
one together.
No, okay.
This is not going to look like a heart. Okay, bye.
Bye.